Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto. Today with my co-host, my uncle Andrew Barreto. Today, we're covering the three big matchups in Week 18 of the NFL season. Then we're going to go into our wild card predictions. And then after that, we'll be talking about head coaching vacancies in the NFL, as well as your weekly NBA standings update and your MLB free agency news. But to start us off, Saturday we had um two big games, right? Panthers Bucks winner. It was almost a winner go home, but obviously if Panthers won, Bucks eliminated. However, that was not the case. The Bucks ended up coming out on top, 16-14, to essentially have the same record, 8-9 as the Panthers. However, they needed some help from the Saints. The Saints and Tyler Shuck needed to upset and beat the Falcons, and fell just short. Falcons ended up winning 19-17. Um, and the Bucks were ultimately eliminated, which is honestly I'm fine with. They let me down. They started off the year, I want to say 5-1, and ended the year 8-9. So I guess honestly no team from the NFC South should have gone to the playoffs, but that's just how it is. Panthers ended up going. They were most likely they're not most likely. They are definitely first round exits. We'll talk about the prediction about that later, but yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't able to
yeah.
watch this game because I was working, but yeah, Panthers
No,
moving on.
that one there. Yeah, I was watching the Falcons and Saints only because of those implications of the Panthers could get in, that kind of thing, and back their way in. One of those teams are going to back their way in the Panthers backed their way in with a losing record, and it was kind of like, um, both those teams, yeah, something needed to be corrected there. I don't think either one of them were deserving after their up and down season. We've talked about many times, um, but the Falcons pull it off. Panthers are in, and yeah, I could see them just a young team, especially Bryce Young. I just think it's yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be an early exit, and if I'm not mistaken, they're playing the Rams, right?
The play in the Rams. So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
we'll
So
get
we'll
into the
talk about it.
matchup,
We'll
but
talk about it.
yeah, then we had Saturday Night Football, Seahawks Niners. Now this was I would say I don't know if it was bigger than Sunday Night Football, but it was a big game. It was for the number one seed. Seahawks Niners. San Fran was at home. I didn't watch the game because once again I was working, but I was able to see some of it. Defensive masterclass. By Mike McDonald. And the Seahawks team. They were able to establish the run game, kill clock. They were able to run down this Niners team, and they ultimately got the victory. 13-3. They had a huge defensive stop. They forced a pick against Purdy when they were about to score. I thought at first McCaffrey just juggled the pass, but second look, ball was tipped on the throw, and then juggled out of McCaffrey's hand and it was picked off, and that essentially iced the game. Low scoring game. It was just the defensive game in general, but Seahawks ended up winning 13-3 for the second consecutive year. Um, I believe Sam Darnold was fighting for the number one seed. Now this year, I believe he won it. Last year, I want to say he lost the number one seed, although I might be wrong. He might have won the number one seed last year. But Sam Darnold, I mean, back to back years, he's playing great football. Resurrected his career. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That game was yeah, pure defense. The Seahawks just put lack of better words, a whooping on the Niners. Those all those injuries we talk about throughout the year. I mean, it just eventually it caught up to the Niners. They
hmm
still didn't have their big offensive lineman. Trent Williams didn't play. Ricky Pearsall didn't play.
They had
Uh,
George Kittle, so
yeah, and then I think their backup middle linebacker too.
D
I
Winters he
forgot.
went out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was out too, and it's just kind of like all that just stacks up to where it was just going to be difficult. Seahawks just applying pressure and blitzing, and they were just killing them and being there right. It's like Brock Purdy didn't even have enough time, and when he did, he'd throw the ball. There's cornerbacks, linebackers were right on them, and
yeah.
put a little good whooping on the Niners there. I mean, there's still hope for the Niners, but Seahawks, I think that was a statement game for them, and they, 14-3 and 8-1 away. They were they were pretty dominant that night.
Yeah, no, when watching the game when I could, that Seattle's defense, they were flying all over the field. I mean, they looked looked a little like the Legion of Boom. Obviously not the same, but they were flying around. I saw their cornerbacks were flying, their linebackers were making plays. I mean, everyone on that defense was making their presence felt, and the Niners couldn't do nothing. They were shook. They had constantly three and outs. And then, like I said, at the end of the game, they forced the pick. I mean, they were just unstoppable. Now, I do believe offensively they could have been better, especially when the Bears had just put up 38 points the week prior against the Niners. I feel like Seattle could have done better offensively, but they got the job done and they ended up securing the number one seed. So great game for them. For I guess some other news I should say before we get into Sunday Night Football, the Giants upset the Cowboys, which meant the Raiders secured the number one pick. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that was another big game. Um, but moving on to Sunday Night Football, we had Ravens Steelers, right? Win or go home. This was ultimately win or go home. No other teams needed to win. No other teams needed to lose for either of these teams to go in. It was either win or go home. Lamar played in this game, and Lamar was fantastic. I mean, he
Yeah.
did everything he could, everything he could in this game. I mean, he had 238 yards, um, three touchdowns, 190. Derrick Henry was great. He had 20 carries, 126 yards. Zay Flowers was amazing. I mean, they did everything to win this game. They did get unfortunate at times. Lamar's pick was a little unlucky. It bounced off his lineman. His lineman tried to catch it and instead touched it up in the air and got picked off by T.J. Watt. Um, and essentially, Lamar got him in field goal range. And the rookie kicker, Tyler Loop, I knew when I was watching that kick, I was like, this is a lot of pressure
Yeah.
on a rookie kicker. There's a good shot he's not making it. And sure enough,
Mhm.
goes wide right. And Steelers win. Ravens lose. And the Steelers, who I believe don't deserve a playoff spot, they end up making the playoffs.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer because I was going for the Ravens as well with Lamar coming back. Derrick Henry had that huge game the weekend
Hmm.
before, and he had a he was effective this game as well. They were both going at it. They were both one of those teams. They were playing like playoff spot was on the line, and it was. So coming down to the last second, Aaron Rodgers threw that. Prior to that, Aaron Rodgers threw that touchdown when the cornerback slipped. I thought. I was like, darn it, I thought that was it. But Lamar was vintage Lamar and drove him down the
Hmm.
field. I think he hit his tight end,
Isaiah Likely. Yep.
with a couple seconds left, and you have a rookie kicker going there and in there, and yeah, a lot of pressure. I mean, it's right off the foot too. It just hooked and the feelings there. You could feel it at home. Feel for that young man and he just had his helmet down the whole time, and yeah, he had some players. Derrick Henry had some good things to say. How to just to move on from this. I mean, it's huge, right? That's the whole season
Yeah.
right there in a few seconds. Um, but it was a good game. Steelers are in there, and I'm not sure who they're playing coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I was not impressed again by their performance.
Yeah, like you said, rookie kicker, it's tough. It's tough, especially when Baltimore had Justin Tucker for 15 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
And you knew he was automatic. Now, obviously, in his last season or two with the Ravens, he obviously wasn't the same kicker. And then he had the stuff come up with him, and ultimately, they released him, got the rookie kicker. But yeah, Baltimore fans was just so used to like that was a 40-yard field goal. It was kind of automatic with Justin Tucker. But now you have a new kicker, a lot of pressure. It's his first year, and that's the outcome
Did
they got. And this outcome,
did
talking
you
going in,
did you hear what there was a reporter that asked Mike Tomlin, what if the rookie would have made that kick? And he's kind of leading up to ask, hey, what about your future plans and this and that if he would have made that kick? And Tomlin, which I thought was a great response, he said, because you know how it is, if my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle.
yeah,
So he say like, come on, man, why are you
yeah.
asking me that? He didn't make it. We don't have to talk about it. I just thought that was a hilarious response to that question because yeah, it's kind of an uncalled for. We're not gonna go ahead and just
Yeah, because I know a lot. Yeah, a lot of people are always wondering, oh, if you made that kick, what would have happened? But it's like you can't
yeah.
ask that, especially when it didn't happen. But at least yeah, talking about that kick, it did affect a lot. Affect both teams. Obviously, Tomlin could have gotten fired if they didn't make the kick.
Right.
However, Ravens missed the kick, and they fired John Harbaugh, head coach,
Huge.
now a free agent. Now will he go back to coaching? Who knows? But if he is, he will be one of the top coaches available, if not the top coach, and a lot of teams will be looking for him. But yeah, no. So that kick cost John Harbaugh his job. Obviously, the Ravens they chose Lamar over Harbaugh. However, I think after losing Harbaugh, um, and just a bad, really bad down year, dealt with a lot of injury. You haven't won much the past couple of years. I
Yeah.
think I think their center's a free agent. He's gonna ask for a lot of money. Don't think the Ravens are gonna pay him. I think the Ravens are sort of in that rebuild esque mode. I think they're gonna have to be. I know they still have Lamar, but the reason I say that is because I got a hypothetical trade for you. Um,
Okay.
should the Raiders trade the first overall pick for Lamar Jackson?
For Lamar Jackson, wow. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. This just I knew
Two-time
this wouldn't be a
MVP.
topic if his year was a little bit better. I mean, we know the prior right 2-time MVP kind of thing, but just this year wasn't right from the beginning, and he dealt with injury and yeah, that's an interesting one there. Yes or no? I'd probably say yes. And we were going to get into the Raiders and their picks because I mean they haven't been in this position to draft number one pick since 2007.
hmm
They took a quarterback last time,
Yeah, and he
and
didn't pan out. But
Raider
this year,
fans know how that worked
yeah,
out. Okay, it did not work out. And historically, you look at all the quarterbacks that the Raiders have taken; they have been veteran type, just experienced quarterbacks, and even even from their list of I'm looking at Rich Gannon, Rick Meyer, Kerry Collins, and Aaron Brooks, Josh McCown, Jason Campbell, Carson Palmer. See, there's no rookie there after Jamarcus Russell. It's all well, Jamarcus Russell eventually is the takes the starting nod and does like we said did not pan out well, and that's what the rookie high draft pick number one. And even these more recent years, right? They're Jimmy Garoppolo, Gardner Minshew, Geno Smith. So
yeah.
if you're asking me, will I take Lamar Jackson? Yes, I want Lamar Jackson. Because
And
I
like I
mean,
said,
yeah, it's going to be
I
debatable. If I
yeah,
mean, a lot of people are already kind of like, hey, this is a for sure thing. Fernando
Mendoza.
Mendoza, this is the guy, right? There's a lot of people already on board with it. But watching the Raiders and the draft picks, I've seen them not draft well for the last 20 something years. And aside from, Gente this year and Brock Bowers last year, there's really
Yeah.
sprinkle of some decent players that they've drafted. But for the most part, they've been, they have not panned out. We've talked about, Colin Farrell, Jonathan Abram, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood. It's just like
Oh, Josh
so.
Jacobs, he's a top running back in the league, but that's about it.
So are we going? Is this it then? I mean, Raiders, their room for error is very small. There's so much pressure on this GM and minority if he is involved in a lot of decisions.
Brady, yeah.
Brady, this is going to be big, man, because we've already been 2 decades deep since the last actual. I know they have a couple of wild card appearances here and there
But no
within that
wins.
20 years, but Raider fans they've already seen Mike McDonald 2 years. With Seahawk turning around, be the number one seed. We just talked before we got on. We talked about Sean Payton turning around in 2 years. Like we can't wait much
D'Amico
longer.
Ryans is another guy. He
D'Amico
turned around the
Ryan's,
Texans.
Leon Cohen,
Yep.
those are guys. Even Ben Johnson.
Ben
I mean, these
Johnson.
these are
Yep.
guys turning around these teams in 1 to 2 years, and this is what we're looking for here. This is it's going to be tough. So is Fernando Mendoza? Is he that guy? I mean, do we get him? And
I mean, he
do,
played great against Alabama. I still gotta watch more of him. But yeah, no,
yeah,
the reason I bring it up because I've also seen the greatest trade for Joe Burrow, but I don't think that's more unlikely just because they paid him, they paid Jamar. They're gonna want to keep those two guys together. But I think
yeah,
the Ravens, if they could trade for Lamar, that's more reasonable. I don't know if they just have to give up the first overall pick. They might have to give it more. But I bring it up because,
yeah,
well, John Harbaugh getting fired is another thing to add at the table. Like I said, they're most likely losing their center. They have an aging Derrick Henry. Um, with a lot of injuries, had a down year. Um, their their window to win, they kind of wasted it. So I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. I think their window has sort of closed, and they need to. They're in need of money, and I think freeing up Lamar from the quarterback with a rookie could definitely be a solution.
Yeah,
But
and I think those guys, the GM and Tom Brady, I think they listen to that. You know, if it comes to the table, you listen to it and see what you could do to get that done. It just shows no guarantees in the draft. You know, I mean, it's so risky. I mean, I don't see a Peyton Manning coming out. I mean, unless I haven't seen Fernando Mendoza enough. I did watch the Alabama game, but I have not watched enough to
I have not watched enough either.
to
But
say
yes,
like, hey, this is the guy. I know he won the Heisman, but that's also another thing too. Like, not all Heisman's pan out. You know,
hmm
to be that franchise changing type of player who's going to, give us the next 10 years of at least 500 ball. and
yeah,
and we're thinking even higher than that, right? I mean, we've been
hmm
under 500 for so long. We're thinking playoffs. I mean, like we just said, we've seen teams turning around in 2 years. Where we're this is the goal. This is, I'm sure, this is the executives, the Raider management. They're not looking to go 500. They want to win now, and they have a long ways to go. A lot of things they need more than just um, a quarterback, right? But
yeah.
hey, how about working on that defense too? How about we build around Max Crosby? Get him. Who's the best defensive player in the draft? I don't know. Do we trade down and maybe take the best defensive
I
player? I
think
don't
you
know.
got to go quarterback.
Yeah.
You have
Okay.
to. You're not going to deal with another Eugenio. But you can still build. You still have. You get a lot of high picks in the other rounds, so you could build around Max Crosby. You have a lot of money in free agency, but yeah,
Yeah.
no. The big decision for the Raiders is who's the head coach. It's bigger than even the draft pick. It's who's going to be the next head coach. Is it, they've already requested to interview Clint Kubiak, Seattle's offensive coordinator. Vance
Uh,
Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. However, I do not like that decision just because he's been head coach before. He has not been great. I don't think it'll work out. It's unofficial, but Brian Flores is on top of the list. Don't know how I feel about that as well. I'm a little 50-50 on that. He's obviously a great defensive coordinator. However, his years in Miami were not that great. However, Brian Dable at offensive coordinator, I would love Brian Dable offensive coordinator. There's a couple other guys that I'm blanking on. I know John Harbaugh is an option out there, but yeah, no, a lot of coaches got fired. I'll get into them right now. Lions have fired the offensive coordinator John Moran after the one season. Pete Carroll, because we're talking about the Raiders, Pete Carroll was fired after the one season. Cowboys had got rid of Matt Eberflus, even though I thought they should have done that mid-season. Um, who else got fired? I'm blanking right now. Oh, Cardinals fired Jonathan Gannon after 3 seasons. He never looked like he was gonna pan out. He should have. He was another guy that should have just stayed as a. Some coaches
yeah.
or some coordinators, they're just better as coordinators. Josh McDaniels is one of them. He's a great
Right.
offensive coordinator, terrible head coach. Gannon was a good defensive coordinator, bad head coach. Um, I said Raiders fired Pete Carroll. Um, Bengals retained both their GM or personal executive Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor for the next year. Browns fired Kevin Stefanski. He's going to be a top list for the
Right.
Titans. Um, and Raheem Morris of the Falcons. That's who else got fired. Raheem Morris of the Falcons. Him and GM Terry Fontenot uh, are both fired after missing playoffs again. So it's a lot of great six head head coaching vacancy or positions are open. We got the Raiders, the Titans, the Falcons, the Browns. What am I missing?
Yeah. I'm
The
drawing a blank. Ravens,
Ravens,
right?
the Giants. I think that's it.
The
Yeah,
Redskins got rid
and
of their offensive coordinator too, Cliff
yep,
Kingsbury,
and then the
and
Cardinals.
I think
Cardinals are
their
the last team.
defense, and I think the defensive coordinator too. At I said Redskins, right? Commanders. I'm old
Yeah,
school. Remember that.
yeah. So there's a lot of great head coaching opportunities. It's who's gonna want the best opportunity. I mean, I know the Falcons, they have a great they get a lot of offensive threats. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. Quarterback situation isn't iffy. Kirk Cousins did restructure his contract. However, they might look to release him. Um,
Yeah, he's
um,
owed a lot of money coming up.
mhm.
I think what was it, 60 something million. So yeah, it doesn't. I think that's like you said. I think he's going to end up getting released. I have one for you that I was looking up prior to us going live. Uh, Indiana Hoosiers head coach Kurt Signetti.
I've seen that for the
You
Raiders.
seen
I've
that?
seen
I
that.
seen
I've
that
seen that.
too.
I don't
Initially,
know.
I'm like, that's not bad.
It's not. You bring
You
him in
hired
with
him.
his
Yep.
quarterback, right?
You get his quarterback.
He's
Yeah.
he's familiar in the system, so I don't think that's a bad decision. Now, how will he work in the NFL? We don't know.
Right.
Because a lot of these other coaches they've been in the NFL and whatnot. But yeah, so a lot of great opportunities. Like I said, um, Falcons have a lot of great offensive threats. Not Cardinals. Cardinals, their trick situation. They got a lot of young guys. Don't know the QB situation is there. The Titans have Cam Ward, obviously, so they got a good young quarterback now. It's just who do you want there? The Raiders have the number one pick, plus 110 million, in cap available. Ravens obviously have Lamar and Derrick Henry, and a lot of studs defensively. Um, who else am I missing right now? Uh, blanking. Who else is available? Oh, Browns. Browns got a really good defense. They got Miles Garrett. They have Shadur Sanders, who they're still trying to get him right as QB1. So I mean, a lot of teams, you know, a lot of all these teams that are needed of a head coach, they have it's really good opportunities for any of the guys that are trying to become head coaches or you know just not become a head coach, but like retain being a head coach like John Harbaugh. So we'll see, but there's gonna be a head coach carousel around the league. But yeah, a lot of firings happen, right? As soon as as soon as Sunday football ended, come Monday, boom, all these
And
firings went
that was
through.
one thing. I was kind of glad. I mean, that was writing on the wall. If you asked me for Pete Carroll, the year that they had, it was just. I mean, they were not competitive at all. Just for him and his staff. I mean, I just saw good things the Raiders didn't hesitate and they let's have a conversation with him, see what kind of plans he has to move forward. Is Geno Smith the guy? I'm glad they kind of put that all to rest. And Monday morning, or whenever, yeah, I think it was
Mhm.
Monday, right? Everybody, they just made it official. I think if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the early coach firings of the day of the many,
Yeah,
right? And yeah, I'm just gonna just get to work and see what they could put together. And yeah, it's I'd hate to have that job because there's a lot of diehard Raider fans who we're a little tired. We've
yeah.
had enough.
That's why I said the head coaching hire is bigger than the number one pick in the draft. But going into our wild card predictions, because I almost forgot about this. I almost just skipped over our predictions for the wild card round. Saturday we've got two games. First game, Rams Panthers. This is easy for me. It's gonna be the Rams. I'm assuming Devontae's coming back this game. I know he's been out with injury. I want to assume he's coming back, but even without Devontae, Stafford and Puka Nakua are unstoppable. I can't see the Rams. Even though the Panthers did upset the Rams in the regular season, I don't see it happening again. I got the Rams winning, and moving on to the divisional round.
Is this correct? The Panthers are at home. I mean,
Yeah,
I,
unfortunately, they are at
again,
home.
this is the that whole South, right? I mean that something needs to be fixed there. But
Yeah.
so they're at home. It looks like Rams are 10.5 point favors. I see that possibly could go up to about 14 if you ask me. But um, yeah, I'm taking the Rams. I think this is kind of a no brainer here, and they move on to the next division round.
And then we got Bears Packers. I'm gonna go with the Bears. I know they just lost this past week to the Lions, but the Packers just lost this past week to the Vikings. I think Caleb Williams, that offense has been great. I know they've been missing, dealing with injuries as of late to the wide receiver room. I think the defense kind of still needs to figure it out a little bit. They did do a little bit better against the Lions this past weekend, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think they beat the Packers. I just don't think this Packers team's dealt with injury and they haven't been playing as great as I thought they should have.
Yeah, down the stretch there, they just I mean they're dealing with injuries too, right? They had their huge injury on defense with Guy Parsons, and although the Bears did lose last weekend, but I just think that this offense is pretty. I don't think they've reached the ceiling yet. I think they're still, Ben Johnson's the new coach, and they're still learning his system, and thus far it's been good, 11-6. They're at home. Green Bay a 1.5 point favorite, but yeah, I'm going with the Bears at home to win their first playoff game in a while, right?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be. I think I want to say 2018. 2018. I think. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 2018. Um, but on Sunday we got three games. Starting off, we got Bills Jags. Um, and it's funny. I want to say I think my dad had sent me this. About the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It says the Patriots had a Mickey Mouse schedule. The Bills are the Bills. The AFC North is a joke. The Broncos should have lost more than 5 games, or should have lost five more games. And this is the Texans can't score. The Chargers have playoff Herbert. And then it says, are the Jaguars going to the Super Bowl? And I
Ooh,
looked at it, I laughed, and I said,
wow,
they might.
that's all
Um,
true.
Jaguars Bills. I mean, Jaguars were phenomenal. They were 13-4 this year. I mean,
Yeah,
they were 4-4 at one point. Um, and they were unbelievable. Um, I like you said that thing just said the Bills are the Bills. I have the Jaguars winning. Will they go to the Super Bowl? They have a good shot. But I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. I think they beat the Bills. I'm gonna move on to the divisional
with
round.
everything you just said there, I mean, yeah, it's kind of true. We talked about it many times. This whole road to the Super Bowl is it could be, I think it's like pretty. There's not a dominant team. We've talked about that plenty of times, and yeah, Jaguars could represent the team, the AFC there. In the Super Bowl. So I mean, it could happen. They're as hot as anybody. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but what are they? 10 wins in a row,
I want to say
nine
they
wins in a
might
row.
be
Yeah, it was something like
something
that.
like that. They ended the year great.
Yeah, but and me, I'm just like okay, because the Bills have always battled the Chiefs. I'm like, this is the Bills year. This is they always would lose to the Chiefs and Mahomes. Just they just didn't have not looked like, hey, this is the team going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I thought Josh Allen MVP, he got his accolades and he takes to the next level. Not his fault. I just don't think they have enough weapons. I know their running back is 1600 over 1600 yards,
James Cook,
12
yeah,
touchdowns.
he's been
Unbelievable,
great.
right?
But
Yeah.
that's not enough. It's not enough. I mean, I've said
Yeah.
that time and time before. I've said it in previous episodes. I said that I feel like every year the Bills just don't have add enough to their team to become a Super Bowl contender, and it's just another one of those years where they'll make it to the playoffs. Just because they play the Dolphins and the Jets twice a year. But
Yeah.
they're not a Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah. And just for the record, Jaguars 8 wins, winning streak to end the year, and I'm a little stuck on this one, but I'm going to go with the home team, Jaguars. Buffalo's favored by 1.5 points, which means
Really.
it's still early and they're not really sure who to pick on this. I will take the Jaguars at home.
And then the next game we got is Niners Eagles. Now this is used to be a rivalry back in 2023. Um, yeah, 23 and 22. I believe this was some rivalry. I'm
Is
gonna
that
go
when
with the
Purdy
Eagles.
got hurt? Is that
Purdy
when?
got hurt one year, and then they like battled in the regular season the next year. But
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I think the Niners offensively they struggled. Is Trent Williams playing? That's a big question. Obviously, they're missing a lot of linebackers. They just signed like three linebackers today. So we'll see how that goes. But I think the Eagles. Um, I think Jalen Hurts. I think the offense. I think the defense. I think they'll figure it all. Well, I don't think they'll figure it out. I think they've got it figured out. Come playoff time, this is the time for them to really like lock in. And win these games because they have the team to do it. You know, they are the defending champs, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I feel like the Niners defense hasn't played great, nor has the offense.
And that's what I was going to say. That the Niners have enough after all those injuries on the defensive side to stop the reigning champions, the Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Barkley. I mean, are they well equipped defensively to handle that? Robert Sala is he's just a phenomenal coach, and I believe he'll be a head coach again. Better situations, hopefully. you know, um, but I just think that's going to be a little too much offense for the Niners, and the Eagles take this victory.
Yeah, and then Sunday night we got Chargers Patriots, and for me, I'm going with Drake Man, the young team. I know I just said they had a Mickey Mouse schedule, but I still think they're a good team. I think the Chargers, Herbert's still dealing with the hand injury. He obviously was not great last year in the playoffs. I think the Patriots are still the better team than the Chargers. I got the Patriots winning.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. Patriots just had this phenomenal year. Drake matured in front of everybody's eyes. 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, over 4,300 yards. I'm looking at right here. Um, and they're at home. They're 3.5 point favorites. I'm going to go with the Patriots.
And then we got a game on Monday. I don't know. I can't remember if we had a game last year in the playoffs on Monday, but we got Monday Night Football for the wild card round. It's Texans Steelers. Give me the Texans. I don't want to see the Steelers move on. I'm done with the Steelers. Don't know how they made it, but they're in it. I just want to see the Texans defense kill Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, the Texans, they're like the Jaguars, one of the hottest team from the South division there, and I what did they win? They won nine in a row to end the year, 12-5. I am taking the Texans because Steelers should have their kick away. They should not be in the playoffs.
yeah, so that is our predictions. For the NFL first round wild card playoff matchups. Moving on to our weekly NBA standings. Kind of the same. We have the Pistons obviously leading the pack in the East. They've still been dominant. They're 27-9, followed by the Celtics, who moved up to the second seed. The Celtics without Jason Tatum might be a better team. Who knows? It's kind of like when sometimes when the
Mm-hmm.
Memphis Grizzlies play without Ja, they're
Yeah.
better, or then the Lakers play better without LeBron. It might be one of those situations. But the Celtics are 22 and 13, 23 and 12. Um, the Knicks, followed by the Knicks, who are 23 and 13. And then the Raptors up there, they're 22 and 15, and then the 76ers are the fifth seed at 19 and 15. And then followed by the Cavs, who are 21 and 17, and then the Magic and the Heat are tied at 20 and 17 for the 7th and 8th seed, while the Bulls and the Hawks are tied a piece. Well, no, they're not tied. The Bulls do have a better record, but they're the 9th and 10th seed. And in the West, the Thunder now for sure cannot break the Warriors 73 and 9 record because they're already 30 and 7. I believe they are last 10 they are 5 and 5 in the last 10 games. They are losing games left and right now. They are not the same
Hey,
team.
I was just about to say you're going over the standings, and I was like, "Oh, Thunder lost 7 games already. All right."
Yeah. Yeah, no. It was I saw a thing it was like ever since the Chris Finch got ejected and the Timberwolves upset them. They just haven't been getting the same foul calls as they're used to, and yeah, they're 5 and 5 in the last 10 games. They're 30 and 7, followed by the 25 and 11 Spurs, who's playing on and off with that one, but he's dealing with a couple of injuries. Followed by the Lakers, who are 23 and 11 at the 3 seed, and the 4th seed is the Nuggets at 24 and 12, followed by the 5th seed Rockets at 22 and 11, and the Timberwolves, who are 24 and 13. The Suns at 21 and 15 at the 7th seed, and the Warriors round out the 8th seed at 19 and 18. Um, man, the Warriors just frustrate me. Last night, if you're a team and your superstar is missing, just play some random guy off the bench, start him, and he'll drop 20 plus. That's what happened last night. Kobe Sanders, the 50th pick in the draft. I kept
Yeah.
hearing it last night from Bob Fitzgerald. He dropped like 20 plus points on the Warriors. It was essentially the difference maker. But another difference in that game last night against the Clippers was the officiating. Horrible. Horrible officiating. Curry, he gets fouled and throws up the shot. They don't wait to call it. The shot goes in. They call the foul. They wave off the call. That was just one of many. The most clear goaltend I've seen in my life is a missed call. Steve Kerr gets
Oh.
ejected, and there's a 5 point turnaround for the Clippers. I mean, they lost by 1 point last night. So it was a. Now I'm not saying that the officiating lost them the game, but it was definitely a huge factor in the Warriors' loss last night. But yeah, and so moving on from that, Trailblazers are the 9th seed at 17 and 20. The Grizzlies are the 10th seed at 16 and 20. Um, as for NBA news, there's a little bit. Trae Young and the Hawks are looking to find a trade partner. So by the trade deadline, expect Trae Young to be moved. Where, who knows? He might go to the Wizards. He might go somewhere. But yeah, Trae Young might is most likely going to be on the move. Some other trade news. that I've seen, I forgot to bring it up last episode, was Anthony Davis to the Warriors. That was one thing that was brought up. Um, Obviously they're still trying to move Kuminga.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of many teams, even though he's not playing, he's getting DNPs. A lot of teams interested in Jonathan Kuminga, so we'll keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, we're just kind of waiting till the trade deadline essentially for news to wrap up. Obviously, there's injury news, but nothing major. No one's out for the year and whatnot. Guys are just gonna be out a couple of weeks, like Jokic. But we talked about that, so no major news in the NBA. And that's the same thing in the MLB. As it comes to free agents, a lot of big free agents like Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, um, they're still free agents. But the Japanese superstars, their closing window was ending at the end of last week. Um, and so they got signed. The Astros signed right-handed free agent pitcher Tatsuya Imai. He ends up going to Houston, and then the third baseman um, Kazuma Akamoto, he
Mm.
goes and signs with the Blue Jays. And I saw the reason he signed with the Blue Jays is because he laid out all 30 logos in front of his daughter, and his daughter picked her favorite one.
Is that
So
true?
I thought that was pretty wholesome. So he
Yeah,
ends up
that's
going
nice.
to the Blue Jays, and the Japanese superstars are signed. But otherwise, in the MLB, free agency has been slow. Like I said, there's still a lot of big free agents available on the market, but none of them have been signed. Especially with the spring training start not spring training. What's in February? Yeah, spring
Yeah,
training
spring training.
next month. So we'll see. We'll see as we get down to it. But that is all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my co-host, my uncle Andrew, for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on what you guys want us to talk about next. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. We get episodes out weekly on Wednesdays. And once again, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, stay ready.